Say, oh, we want to do something with you. Can you do this? Can you do that, mom or dad? And then what do we sometimes say? Because we're so busy. Okay, baby, in a minute. Yes, in a minute. I'll get to it in a minute. How many of us know that in a minute may never come? Hello, my name is Charla, and welcome to my channel. On this channel, I share tips, tricks, and hacks for you to continue to be a bomb.com mom. Today, I'm going to share a little trick that I learned when my children were younger. When my children were younger, I was a full-time student. I was a work from home mom with a direct sales company, and I jokingly say that I was a part-time wife. My husband was an over-the-road driver, so he was gone for about 2 weeks and then home for about 3 days. So, needless to say, I had a lot on my plate, and I needed to learn to balance it all. Well, as a mom, my top priority was definitely my children. But realistically, wasn't everything on my plate a top priority? So I had to figure out exactly how to balance it all. And balance is a 4-letter word in my book, okay? So one day, I was actually at one of my direct sales training meetings, and the woman spoke about spending time with our children, right? And how when our children come up to us, say, oh, we want to do something with you. Can you do this? Can you do that, mom or dad? And then what do we sometimes say? Because we're so busy. Okay, baby, in a minute. Yes, in a minute. I'll get to it in a minute. How many of us know that in a minute may never come? Well, I was so blessed when she said this, and I promise you, when I tell you what it is, it's gonna seem so small and so simple, but it changed my entire life. What she said was, when your children walk up to you and they say, hey, mommy, daddy, can I do this or can I do that? Simply say, for a minute instead of in a minute. And I'll tell you how that plays out. So, for example, my children like to play card games. Let's say Uno, for example, right? I love Uno, by the way. But they'll walk up to me and they'll say, hey, mom, you want to play Uno? And I'd be in the middle of writing a paper that's like 75,000 pages. And realistically, I don't have time to stop and play Uno, right? But do I? I've got to get this paper done. I've got work to do. I've got important things that I'm doing. But what I realized was all I had to say was for a minute instead of in a minute. Okay, I'm going to see how this works. I'm going to try this. And so I said to my child, sure, I'll play Uno with you for a minute, but then I've got to get back to work. So what did I do? I took about 10 minutes and I played a few hands of Uno with my son. I had a really good time, to be honest, because I definitely needed a break from writing that paper. And then he had such an amazing time. And then guess what happened? When we were done playing Uno, he walked off and left me to do my paper. Now, I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but you know how children are. Mom, 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 can I, can we, can us, can they, mama, 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 what? Right? And so now I'm able to sit and write my paper in peace. I don't have my children walking up to me needing things except for, snacks and maybe some cuddles, but they're not walking up to me and saying, Mom, can I do this? Can you play this? You know, because who knows that when you tell your child in a minute, number one, you definitely said 1 minute, right? So whether or not they can tell time, who knows? But you still said in a minute. And children don't have any concept of time. So they're coming back to you either every 22 seconds or every 5 minutes. Is it a minute yet? Is it a minute yet? And what do you have to do? No, I'll do it in a minute. I'll do it in a minute. I'll do it later. You know? And then they're going to keep coming back to you until you have fulfilled their need, right? Well, what would you do if you had time to actually get your things done, right? So here is how it would play out. When they walk up to you and they say, hey, can I do so-and-so with you? Now, if you're in the middle of something that you're able to pause, then please, this hack is going to work for you. If you're in the middle of maybe a Zoom meeting, you know, and that's something that you can't pause right now, then this hack may not work for you until you get done with your Zoom call. You can simply say, I'll be done with my Zoom meeting at such and such a time, set a timer for the child and say, hey, when this timer goes off, it'll be time for me and you. And then give him 5 or 10 minutes and then go on about your day. But let's just say you're in the middle of something that you can pause, okay? So for instance, I was in the middle of writing a paper. I totally could take 10 minutes away because I needed a breather too, whether I knew it or not, right? I didn't necessarily need a breather for Uno, okay? I might have needed a breather for something else, but I needed a breather nonetheless. So your child walks up to you and they say, hey, can we play this? Can we do this? And then you say, yes, sweetie, for a minute. But as soon as we're done, mommy has to get back to work. Mommy has to get back to writing her paper. Mommy has to get back to cooking dinner. Whatever it is mommy or daddy is doing, I have to get back to it, right? So while you're playing, you set that timer. You set a timer for 5 to 20 minutes. It's up to you. How much time can you take a break for? Or think about how much time it's actually going to take. You know, if it's going to take 10 minutes, set it for 10 minutes. You be the judge, right? And so you set that timer and you play with your child and you are fully engaged. Your mind is not anywhere else. Your thoughts, your time, you have nothing else to do. You have nowhere else to be for the next 5 to 20 minutes, but with your child. You give your child that undivided attention. Make them feel like they are the most important thing on this planet. And you just relax and play, right? When the timer goes off, you say, hey, as a matter of fact, let me rewind. Before the timer goes off, give the child a little, precursor like, hey, you got about 2 minutes left because you never want to surprise them with that timer. Learn that the hard way. So you give them a heads up. Hey, we've got about 2 more minutes. So when the timer goes off, it's not a surprise. And then when that timer goes off, you say, all right, babe, we're done. We're done. Mommy's going to get back to writing her paper. And I want you to go ahead and do whatever it is whatever activity that you want them to be involved in. It might be going to play Uno by yourself. Go and learn some new moves by yourself. Give them some sort of task. It could be whatever they were doing before they came to you to play this Uno. You send them back to do that. I promise you, it's going to give you some serious, uninterrupted time to get your task done. And with that small 20-minute Uno game, let me tell you what you have just done. Number 1, you took a break. You rested your mind, you breathed, you chilled, right? And you played Uno because you know you love it. I know I love it. You did whatever it was that your child wanted to do. So you got to be a child for just 20 minutes, right? Number 2, you filled that child's bucket and you fulfilled their needs. They're happy, they're whole, and they're gonna go and leave you alone, right? and go be happy somewhere else. Number 3, you just bought yourself some more time. And not just time, some precious, most likely, I'm not going to promise now because children are still children, okay? He might come back to you and get some fruit snacks. Or he might come back to you and want to play shoots and ladders. I don't know, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. But what he's definitely going to do is give you some uninterrupted time because you did what he needed. You know, children don't think in terms of time like we do as adults. You know, I understand that it may take me 6 hours to write a 753 page paper, right? I understand that, but children don't understand that, right? Children come up to you and they say they want to play. They have no idea that if you had the time, you could play Uno for an hour, right? They don't know, but they know that what you gave them is what they asked for, right? You filled their need. It didn't necessarily have to be about quantity. It was about quality, right? And so how does that look for you in your life? I'll tell you one thing. This is not going to be the easiest thing to do, especially if this is something that you're transitioning into. I'm going to be honest, because it wasn't the easiest thing for me to do when I first began. But I will tell you that it is extremely simple. Anything that your child walks up to you and wants to do with you, you do it for a minute instead of telling the child in a minute. It's literally as simple as that. How can you apply this? Let's just say you're in the middle of washing clothes, right? You're sorting laundry, simply sorting laundry. Yes, now this is a really easy job, but like, I know I'm not the only one that doesn't want to do it, right? Don't leave me out here by myself, okay? Don't leave me out here alone. No one loves sorting laundry. And if you do, come to my house because I've got tons, okay? But let's just say you're in the middle of sorting laundry. And little Billy walks up to you and says, "Hey, Mom, can you ride scooters with me?" Now, let's be honest. You may or may not know how to ride a scooter, right? I'm not judging. I'm not saying that I can or can't ride a scooter either. I'm simply saying you may or may not be able to ride a scooter. But what you can do is say, "Yes, I can," for a minute. You put that laundry down, you go outside or inside, and it's your world, and you ride that scooter. And if you can't ride, you try to ride, right? You do your absolute best because that's what we want them to do. And then if you end up falling, you just say, "Well, Mommy's going to watch you ride your scooter for the next 20 minutes, right? You set a timer for 20 minutes and you say, "Hey, Billy, Mommy really wants to spend time with you. She loves you so much. She definitely has to go back in here and fold this laundry because I want you to have clean clothes for when you go to school, right? But I'm going to sit out here for about 20 minutes with you. Is that okay?" They're definitely going to say yes. Then again, they might also say no. And then even if they say no, you just say, "Well, that's how much time that I have. So either I'm going to have no time or 20 minutes. You choose." They're going to choose 20 minutes. Again, I'm not going to promise this, and don't hold me to this, but I pretty much almost 99.9% guarantee that they're going to pick the 20 minutes, right? And even if they don't understand the concept of time, which we already discussed, and even if they don't want to do it, you give them those 20 minutes. And if they say, "No, I don't want 20 minutes. I want 1,000,000 minutes." And you're like, "Well, I've got 1,000,000 socks to fold. I've got 1,000,000 socks to mate. So Mommy's going to give you 20 minutes right now. I'm going to go back and make socks. If you want to, you can help me. while I make these socks or while I sort this laundry. Or you can go back outside and play with your scooter. It's up to you. Now, let's talk about if your child is a little bit smaller and they can't necessarily come up to you and say, hey mom, I want to. But the way that they come up to you is they just crawl up to you or they waddle over to you and they say, ah, ooh, ah, ah, ooh. Or whatever it is they say, right? That was me speaking baby. But anywho, you do the exact same thing. They just want a little bit of quality time with mommy or daddy. So what do? You pick them up for a few minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Again, it's up to you. You hold them, you play with them, you love on them, and then you get back to work. It's as simple as that. Now, I hope this helped. I hope it made sense. Now, just to recap, your child walks up to you and they say, hey, mom, can you do this or that with me? Instead of saying, in a minute, you say, for a minute. You set the boundaries. You set the expectations. You let them know, I've got 20 minutes to play with you. And I'm so excited to get to spend this time with you. When mommy's done, she's going to go and get back to work, writing this 7,332 page paper. But until then, mommy's here to play with you. You set that timer for however long. You let them know how long you've set that timer for. Before the timer goes off, you let them know we've only got about this much time left so that you don't catch them off guard with that timer, because that's a whole different can of worms, okay? Transitions are a different beast when it comes to children. And we'll do a video about that in the future. But for now, you've got this tool. Definitely use it. I hope this helps you. And if you have any tips or tricks or hacks that you'd like to share, please put them in the comments below. If this helps you, or if you've already been using a system like this, tell me below. Tell me how it's worked for you. Tell me how it's changed your life. I can definitely tell you how it's changed mine. My children are so chill when it's time for me to do things. As a matter of fact, I am shooting this video and I had to go and tell my children, hey, mommy is going to be working for a little while, so she's going to get to you as soon as she's finished. Now, mine are a little bit older, which, trust me, age does not matter. When that child needs you, oh, they need you, okay? And I know you can all relate, right? Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but I imagine you can, okay? So mine right now are just chilling. But I'll be honest, this was a process. Now, I did have to go and tell one of them, my youngest son, mommy's shooting a video. So I know you're having a really good time playing your game and chit-chatting with your friends, but my people do not need to hear anything about what it is that you're doing in your room, right? Anywho, if this helped you, please let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. I'm coming at you twice a week with 2 tips, tricks, and hacks. Now, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, peace and love.